What is up, guys? Wraec is here with a new video, and today I want to bring you guys my top 5 endgame PvP heroes. What do I mean by endgame? I mean by endgame the real top of the leaderboards, the top of the list. Void Hordes 4 and 5 at the moment, at depth 10, those heroes that are going to compete for those places. I want to talk about some heroes that are in there, why they are in there and why they are that good at the moment, and why some heroes maybe aren't that good. So let's start off with place 5. You see her already stunned there. It is TBB. TBB only at place 5 comes as a surprise for some people, I guess. By the way, place 1 will be an even bigger surprise. That much I can promise, because it's not a hero that you might just think about now. TBB is still an insane hero. No question about it. She is an absolute monster. But the thing is, she isn't that represented anymore in the teams. In the teams that use her in the top ranks, she's not really the main damage dealer usually. Because if she is, it often ends like what you just saw in the background. That your team just gets demolished by a hero or some heroes with Twine immunity. And Twine immunity is ran quite commonly now at the top PvP levels, like the top 20, 30 PvP players have a lot of Twine immune heroes indeed. And that is really something that makes it kind of hard for TBB to shine, because a lot of her kit just targets heroes that can be twined. You can see there my Star Swordsman Mockman is not energy drained, he's not taking a whole lot of damage. My HHA got absolutely demolished, of course, but my SSM, he is fine. He's doing very well. He's now starting to do his counterattacks. He's mostly unaffected by her. Doesn't really care about her attacking, and now she's actually dead. So that is something that can happen quite often. The thing is though, and the reason why she's still at place 5 and why I put her in front of DTV would be place 6 in that sense, she's such a big threat. She's just such a big threat for all people that aren't Twine immune. She would absolutely demolish a team like mine if I didn't have this Twine immune SSM. If that guy wasn't Twine immune, I would have been demolished by her. No chance, and she probably has way less stats than my team. So that is still the big thing about her, and I tend to want to use her in a team. Just for the simple reason, not as the main damage dealer, not as anything like that. Of course she deals damage, but I want to have her in a team just so she's a threat for the enemy. Just so the enemy gets punished if he doesn't have Twine immunity. Just so if I get attacked by a person that is a lot weaker than me, he instantly gets demolished. I just want to use her for that reason. And I think that is really what's keeping her up. If you go a bit lower than like the depth 10, like the absolute top people, I would say she's place 1, because she's a monster. She's an absolute monster there. You won't find a better burst hero in the game. You will find heroes that deal more damage on turn 1, but you won't find a hero that can just do an active skill, do another active skill immediately after, and delete an entire enemy team. That is just a level on her own. And that's why she's still place 5 on that, even though she got a 12-layer transition power destiny skill, which is horrible, and not really any good skills in there. Just some extra twine chance, which nobody really cares about. So yeah. That's the thing. On place 4, actually, Star Swordsman Mockman. I think that some people would have expected him a bit higher. Personally, I have to say, I think it is pretty easy to understand why he is on that level. The thing is, you just can't really activate his destiny skill on your own. What do I mean by that? Well, if you want to trigger his destiny skill, this requires him to be hit, so it requires an action by the enemy, which in turn restricts him a little bit in the way you can play him. If I play him together with TBB, for example, and the enemy has a very tanky team, one that isn't Twine immune, well, he won't get hit anymore, so this won't trigger. And this sucks a little bit. So there is no real synergy with him and CC. You kind of want to build him more in a tanky counterattack way, and that is a little bit restricting and requires a set amount of heroes like HHA. You really want to have a good copy of him, and then maybe you want to BQA, you want to Gaggy, something like that. And it's a bit annoying to not be able to utilize him in more teams, because you really, if you build SSM, you build around him, and heroes like that tend to be a bit less versatile, and that's why I'll rank him lower. His damage potential, of course, is also a bit lower than the heroes that will be on the higher ranks now. But that is not really a problem. We have a 2000% attack node, we have attack reduction, we have extra all damage dealt, we have some pretty high nodes. Here's some pretty high damage nodes that we can utilize. So his damage is still perfectly fine. It is just a bit less than some other heroes can deal on that rank. So that is really the reason that I rank Mockman here. He's still a great hero. I really want to combine him with one specific hero that we're going to talk about in a bit. But for now, this guy only plays. Where were we? 4. Place 4. So let's get to place 3. And place 3 is actually Blood-Tide Queen Aronia. Interesting. Kind of interesting to see her here. She was regarded as one of the weakest heroes in the game for quite some time. Some people used her, they were widely looked at for using her, and people, didn't really understand it. I think I didn't bother to read any of her skills for like a year. And then I had an S tier copy, and now you can see, I have a C plus copy. I sold my S tier for like 95,000 starry gems or something like that, because she got stupid expensive. There are like 3 S or above copies of her in rotation that entered the auction house, and yeah, of course now, well, they are really expensive. I bought her for like 50k. But yeah, the reason she is so great, we'll have to look in her skills for that. The reason that she is that great is she's a support hero, and she also deals damage now, so that's a great combination. And her skill says when an ally's active skill successfully hits the target, himself has 3 or more layers of transition power, and that is of course again one of those skills that you can trigger multiple times around. You can trigger that 6 times around, because her active skill should count as well. For Star Alchemist Tom's Young it does, for her I'm not sure. And well, you just need 3 layers of transition power and then you're good to go. Every time this triggers, she deals some damage and inflicts a scorching curse, alright. Doesn't really matter, but the thing is, we trigger all of those nodes here. We can CC with that, we can deal damage with that, and if you ever fought her in PvP, you will see, well, she is quite tanky. She is quite tanky and she deals a ton of damage. I'm just going to start the fight against Ark again. There we can see her in the back row. Probably, doing some damage here, activating her Destiny transition skill, and now every time an ally does an attack with an active skill, she will trigger her DT as well. We will stack a lot of damage over time, and eventually probably will die, though against Ark, well, he has like 8 billion power. That's the thing. So, absolute madness, even on the levels before Destiny rank 12 necessarily, she's already quite insane and deals a ton of damage, so definitely a hero you want to look out for. Now, my god, I'm getting absolutely demolished because Ark is no longer on the defensive lineup. Okay, that was actually horrible. Yeah, insane hero. He has an SS tier, by the way. Quite insane. Quite insane. I know the offers on such copies are very high. If you want to use her, definitely one of the heroes that is currently the strongest. But with that, we want to go to place 2, to one of the heroes that is one of the strongest, but nobody uses him, so that's kind of interesting. I only know that one other guy uses it, so let's hop and see who it is. And it's actually Star Alchemist Holmes Young. Compared to Star Swordsman Mockman, his damage is way higher in PvP. He is probably currently the hero in PvP that deals the most damage. I have to say that. He deals more damage than BQA. In any fight that I did against BQA, she wouldn't compete against what he does, because he has so many damage nodes, and he does the same as BQA. He probably is literally the same skill. Let's check that out. His skill reads pretty similarly to her, and we can trigger it multiple times around. There it is. When any ally releases active skill, itself owns 3 layers of transition power, so it's the same, but we actually poison 3 enemies. 1200% of attack damage, which is a lot. We increase damage over time, so that hurts, and we can self-buff ourselves through absolute insanity. And beyond that, he has skill extra damage here. We can deal this extra damage. Then we have some attack reductions, which are nice, or we can use the 3000% damage to all enemies. Also absolute madness, and there we have another damage node. So we have so much damage there that we actually slice through sustain teams like a hot knife through butter. So it is an absolute madness. I remember the first time I used him, Jesus had actually set up his team. Jesus, like one of the top people in terms of trained stats, one of the top people in terms of copies, set up a sustain team as tanky as he could make it, and basically Star Alchemist Holmes Young was able to kill it at the beginning of turn 2, sometimes at the end of turn 1. Madness, absolute madness. He just destroys enemy teams, especially sustain teams, and he is my number one. Well, it's not number one on this leaderboard, but he is my number one choice for PvP and the hero that I want to utilize to get the most damage. I want to combine him with multiple heroes. You can set him up to be like a bit of a support, even though he does a lot as a main damage dealer as well. He has support capabilities. He's very versatile. You can place him in a lot of teams. He doesn't really need a lot of support. If you want to go for an energy feed with him, that's fine. You can run him in a burst comp. That is very nice. You can use another damage dealer, put him in the back row and just make him put perceptual disorder on a few enemies. Even get some buffs from him if you want, so there's this attack increase. So he has a lot of ways you can implement him into a team, and is always very useful, because in best cases he takes out the 2 highest attack enemies, which is very, very punishing, and a great way to do so. So, at this point right now, I want to show you guys, of course, our place 1, but I want you guys to guess. Go down to the comments now. You can take a guess at which hero our place 1 is. I say one thing in advance, because otherwise you guys will think it's DTV. It's not DTV. It's not DTV. It's actually somebody else. And it is currently, in my opinion, the strongest hero we have, but for a wrong reason. So, I give you 2 more seconds. 1, 2, and let's go. That one you didn't expect, right? It's Swordflash Xia. And why is that the case? Well, you can find literally nothing in her kit that gives you a reason why she is OP at the moment. But the thing is, her skills are bugged. So yeah, that's like the thing. Her skill is supposed to be like this. After releasing active skill or basic attacks, for every 2 layers of transition power owned by self, deals 600% attack damage to 1 random enemy. So if we take a look, this effect can be triggered up to 6 times. We should add that. If we take a look, well, we have basic attack transition power. Those are 3, so we would deal 600% attack damage to 1 random enemy, which is not very strong. Or we can do an active skill, then we gain 6 layers, and then it's 3 times 600 attack damage. Yeah, so what happens instead at the moment is you do any kind of attack, like a basic attack or an active skill. This effect will trigger 6 times, and it will not hit 1 random enemy, it will hit all enemies. So it will hit all enemies 6 times, and it will activate every single pivot node that she has 6 times, including the one that reduces attacks by 15%. And that will trigger 6 times, so you have a 90% attack reduction on every single enemy just from her. Then you can use DGN to do that as well. So at the moment, well, she's absolutely broken. Yep, she is absolutely broken. Destroys enemies. I think Soul showed that to me, and I was like, mate, that's insane. There are apparently some bugs with impeccable flow as well. She's one of the heroes that would definitely need some testing, but if I test her, I don't really have soul symbols, so that's a bit sad. I really would have loved to show you some content, but I'm really out of soul symbols. That's the sad reality. So she's like the strongest hero. I remember the times actually when I had an SS tier copy of her. Kinda not that common anymore. Like if you look at the auction house, not that many S tier, SS tier, SFX there. I don't even have one. And it's kind of interesting. Well, she's the most OP hero. Did you guess it correctly? Let me know down below. And with that, I wish you a great day. We'll see us in the next one.